Last October, I put out a report that insisted that the RTX 5090 was being effectively end of life. In summary, I said that no, Nvidia would obviously not be officially admitting their latest scheme. They never admit when they do things like this. But still, supply was going to be heavily throttled to the point that at least at MSRP, this thing was done. That effectively in 2026, unless you got lucky, you would be paying upwards of $4,000 or more for a 5090. And if you check prices back then that were already starting to rise, actually, and then check where they are now, yep, it's happened. RTX 5090 supply was throttled to the point of absurdity, and that's no matter what other outlets claimed. Which, to be clear, a lot of outlets did shamelessly swallow Nvidia's PR, often telling gamers that the 5090 prices were fine and might even drop in 2026. And while some of you saw through their shilling that contradicted the reporting on this channel, and actually many of you even benefited from taking my advice, others didn't, and sadly were burned by the shameless access journalism that is plaguing tech reporting in recent years. And that really gets me to why I am doing today's video. To back up my friends over at Hardware Unboxed regarding their reporting to very similar things to what I reported on last year. It's just that this time what Tim said in his video he just put out is that it is far more of the Nvidia lineup than just the 5090 that is being effectively end of life. And that also I'm actually really doing this because also, yet again, I am seeing Nvidia respond by lying through their teeth and trying to slander real pro-consumer outlets like Hardware Unboxed that just want to warn you with reality, with what is really going on, and not just regurgitate Nvidia's latest PR that I am seeing some outlets regurgitate again, even though they were already proven wrong to have done this before regarding the 5090. And so look, what I'm here to say is, to be very clear, today I called up as many sources in retail and distribution as I could, and they entirely backed up what Tim from Hardware Unboxed said about the 5070 Ti and 5060 Ti 16GB being effectively ended by Nvidia this year. It is happening. My sources tell me it is happening, and they were right before about the 5090. Buy an Nvidia 12GB or higher GPU now if you want one and you see it at MSRP. Although notice what I just said. I said 12GB or higher, and I didn't clarify which ones. And that's because actually from what I am hearing by tonight, right before I am putting this video out, is that it is not just the 5060 Ti 16GB, nor the 5070 Ti 16GB. From what I am hearing, in fact, it's not even just desktop GPUs. No, what I'm about to outline in this video is Nvidia basically exiting high-end PC gaming in 2026 after a word from Mini's forum and their MS S1 AMD 395 Mini PC. That's right, this piece of content is sponsored by their latest Strix Halo Mini PC that is really in a league of its own. Not only does it have the fastest APU on the planet, at least for x86 right now, one that's fast enough to play Battlefield 6 in 4K at high settings, but unlike many of its competitors, its build quality, in my opinion, is just untouchable. Actually, on that note, it has multiple USB 4 ports on both sides of the device, including two V2 ports on the back, dual 10 gigabit Ethernet, a built-in noise-canceling mic, and it even has a full 4.0 PCIe slot. Yes, you can add a low-profile GPU to this device in the future if you wanted more performance once it gets older. And then when it comes to performance from all of this power behind it, it's really desktop class. I mean, I've already covered Strix Halo to a degree, but this one 60-watt fully enabled 395 model, I mean, I found it regularly beating an RTX 4060 in higher resolutions, and a large part of that is because of how much RAM it has, but it just also has a ton of grunt. And look, so if you're interested in this product, please make sure to check it out through the links below. I have a link to an Amazon page, as I know that that is often the cheapest and easiest way to get it for some people, but then I also have a link to the Minis Forum store as well, where you can use code BROKENSILICON for a discount. Either way, you are helping out this channel if you check out the MS S1 through the links below. Please do click on both of those links to support the channel. channel, by the way. It costs you nothing. But then you are also, of course, supporting the channel even more if you buy it through those links as well. So support Moore's Law is Dead by checking out the minis from MS S1 Mini PC today. All right, so back to the main story. Indeed, the second I saw Hardware Unboxed defending themselves against outlets that were misquoting them, just like they misquoted me last year, I knew I had to speak out. And speak out, though, after rounding the wagons with my sources to see if there was anything else I could learn about Nvidia's plans for their graphics cards in 2026. And well, in summary, here is what I can confirm. First of all, basically anything with more than 8 gigabytes of VRAM is having its supply throttled. Yes, even Nvidia laptops, even laptops with dedicated Nvidia graphics cards. I double checked this one too with a couple of sources, and they said that they are receiving far fewer shipments of any laptops with dedicated Nvidia GPUs with more than 8 gigabytes. So it's not just limited to desktop. But with regards to desktop, yes, I can confirm that the 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte, 5070 Ti 16 gigabyte, and as far as what I am hearing, even to a degree, the RTX 5080, which by the way seems to already have been throttled, as that's already to almost double the MSRP. These are all getting throttled along with the 5090 that I already covered last year. Yes, though, the 5070 should get some small shipments that continue to come in, more than you're going to see for the 5060 Ti or 5070 Ti. But I don't think it's going to be enough to make up for the fact that it is the basically highest end GPU Nvidia is supplying with more than 8 gigabytes this year. And because it will be just the 5070 getting some supply, and I'm still hearing it's a bit throttled compared to last year, I don't think it's going to be remotely enough to really make it feel like there's a difference. I suspect the 5070 12 gigabyte will also, to a degree, feel like it has been end of life, or at least it's going to be a lot more expensive than last year. And yeah, the other thing I can confirm, meanwhile, the RTX 3060 12 gigabyte, I am hearing that supply is increasing. Some retailers told me they just got a fresh shipment of 8 nanometer 12 gigabyte cards that launched in 2021. I guess that's Nvidia's answer if you want more than 8 gigabytes in 2026. And of course, the 3060 12 gigabyte also uses GDDR6. So I think there's also an obvious suggestion to be made here that what Nvidia is doing is saving any high performance memory capacity out there to be used for products for their AI contracts. Which, on that note, I did actually get a hold today of one of my sources at Nvidia. That's someone super high up, you know, at least in terms of like business strategy, someone in engineering. And this person basically suggested that what they believe we are seeing is Nvidia finally coming to terms with the fact that they have massively overbooked orders to their AI customers, and that this was always bound to happen at some point, but that it is probably happening now because of recent moves by OpenAI to deprive the industry of RAM wafers, that they just have so many outstanding contracts that eventually they just decided, yeah, whatever, screw gamers. We really need to service those first now. And so that's what Nvidia is doing this year. But I guess the final thing that I'm sure you're all wondering, what about AMD? Well, again, I can just basically entirely back up what Tim from Hardware Unboxed said in his video today. At least as of today, and this is an evolving story, so I want to say as of today here, January 15th, from what I'm hearing, AMD has no plans to restrict supply. But I have been told that, yeah, prices are going to continue to climb a bit, although that's something I've been warning you guys about for months, and so I don't really think that's a surprise that they would continue to drift up in price as long as AMD, like Tim said, basically has a monopoly on high-end dedicated graphics. Again, if you see a 9070 XT at MSRP and you want it, I would get it right now. This is probably your last chance for a few months. No, I don't think they'll climb to like $1,500, like the 5080 might climb to $2,000. But why pay more than you need to if you want one this year? Don't wait. And, well, that's it. That is it for this video. I have really nothing else to add besides that. Please, please, please do subscribe to this channel, ring the bell button, comment down below to tell me what you think, and share the video to support independent journalism, not mindless shilling of Nvidia's PR speak that often just turns out to be just that. PR speak that actually isn't backed up by reality. That's what we saw with the 5090. And actually, consider joining the Moore's Law at Patreon as well. That's the best way to show support. If you join, even at the lowest tier, you'll be able to ask Tim from Hardware Unboxed questions before he comes on the next Broken Silicon. Yes, I'm telling you, entirely a coincidence. This was booked, I believe, weeks ago that he would come on this weekend, and it just so happens that we're both putting out a similar support, or that I'm commenting on something he said I should say and adding on to that report right before he comes on. But what great timing for us, if not great timing for the PC gaming market. But yeah, you can ask me and him questions if you join the Patreon, and otherwise, to everybody else, if you made it this far into the video, of course, thank you for watching.